Hi, I'm Mandy Cowan, one of the dementia advisors in Dumfries and Galloway. I cover the Nithsdale, the Upper Nithsdale, the Stewartry and the Annan Eskdale areas. I provide ongoing support, information and advice to anyone who is living with dementia, and also to their family and friends who provide care and support to someone who has dementia. Today we would like to share with you a little of our digital connections journey and what experiences we've had and what we have learned along the way. I will now hand you over to Shona.
Hi, I'm Shona Sneden. I'm the Dementia Advisor and Carer Liaison Worker for Astronorah in Wigtonshire. Mandy has kindly introduced what we do as Dementia Advisors. So as a Carer Liaison Worker, our role is to support the person and their family during transition into long-term care, helping to support them deal with the emotional challenges and changes that are experienced at this time, and also sadly when a loved one passes away. I'll now hand you on to Jill, who will introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jill Rennie, and I am also a carer liaison worker. I cover the sort of middle part of the region called the Stewartry, which is around Gatehouse of Fleet, Castle Douglas, and also parts of Dumfries area. I'll now pass you on to my colleague Rachel.
Hello, I'm Rachel Byers and I work as carer liaison worker also. I work in the east of the region in Annandale and Eskdale, and also north of Dumfries, which is Upper Nithsdale. So now we're going to look at our digital connections journey and really explore first what is the story. So prior to the pandemic, we supported carers mainly face-to-face, either at support groups, of which we had 8 across the region, or from our resource centres in Astronorah and Dumfries, or through home visits. After the pandemic, we had to completely change our way of working and move to mainly telephone support. The majority of carers we supported via landline, as they had no mobile or other technology. We made weekly calls to many during the initial period, as we were all adjusting to the huge changes that lockdown brought. We introduced Attend Anywhere as a digital platform, but had very little engagement with carers. Though the few times we did use it, it proved very useful. For example, when speaking with a relative who lived overseas. As a team, we then began to use Microsoft Teams, which quickly became the preferred medium. We began to have one-to-one video calls with carers, and this was helped by the provision of 9 iPads for carers from the Connecting Scotland initiative. It was at this stage we began planning our first digital group, a care home relative support group. The majority of carers preferred to continue with telephone support, but some were keen to give the digital group a try. We offered one-to-one sessions initially to those wishing to join until they felt confident using Microsoft Teams, before they all joined their first group session together. Initially, we ran the group as a pilot of 3 sessions, which was held monthly and lasted for about an hour and a half. Since then, as restrictions have eased further, we've also just restarted face-to-face carer support groups, which we will also touch on. We will now go on to Jill, who will describe what was the learning.
Hi. So really, we decided that we would split what the learning was into kind of 2 sections. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the challenges. So initially, the challenges were encouraging the family carers to actually engage in the digital groups. They may not have had up-to-date equipment, which wasn't compatible with recent updated technology. So some of them had sort of laptops that were rather old and wouldn't connect. So we had to give them a lot of support to enable them to connect to this. They may have low self-esteem. They may have been lacking in confidence, or are kind of frightened of using the technology. So they did require a lot of encouragement and support from the dementia advisors and carer liaisons. It did help when we had a good working relationship with them. Engaging with the technology also may not be high on their priority list, so they have a lot of things going on in their life. So again, we had to give them a lot of encouragement and support. Although our rural area that we live in is very beautiful, it does have its problems. We have poor infrastructure and there's low investment compared to other areas in Scotland. Dumfries and Galloway has poor connectivity, Wi-Fi is temperamental, broadband can be slow, and our phone signals can be quite patchy. So these are some of the challenges we faced. Ongoing IT support was needed for the families and also for ourselves as staff. At the start of the pandemic, we did a survey showing that engaging in digital options was not the preference of family carers. I'd like to move on now to the positives and hand over to Mandy.
Thanks, Jill. So now looking at some of the positives that have come out of the pandemic and the benefits of using online services. As we established our new online services, some of the family members provided us with some really good feedback, many of whom were quite keen to engage with the new way of working online. It enabled some of the carers to begin to develop brand new IT skills, and for others, they had the opportunity to refresh some of those existing skills. Carers from one of our groups, some of the carers from the groups have helped us with other developments. For example, taking part in a webinar and providing useful feedback from which we could learn and embed in other sessions. Being able to link with carers from across the region was also very beneficial, and it enabled them to meet people that they might not have had the opportunity to meet before. Staff also from across the region had the opportunity to work together on a more regular basis. Carers told us that being able to attend the digital meetings meant it had less impact on their day, meaning that the family member, the family carer, spent less time away from the person who they were supporting, and there wasn't the same need for respite. Another bonus was there was no need for travelling, as the meetings were all held in the comfort of the person's own home. Some of the other benefits from using technologies were included a lot more use of text between carers and staff, which has reduced the waiting time for support, as you don't miss each other's calls. There was also much more use of emails, which provided carers a time to prepare their questions, and they prepared these quite often at a time that was more suitable to them, more convenient, and away from their caring responsibilities. Being online has also overcome the geographics, and it has meant that one call can include several members of the family at once on an online meeting. And this was particularly helpful during the lockdown when travel restrictions were in place. So from here, let's move on to our online group support. Handing over to Shona.
This wonderful photograph is a photograph of one of our care home relatives' online support group, which has been regularly by 4 carers, and the following slides show clips from the first one is of Andy.
So hi Andy, it's good to see you again, and I just wondered if we could talk a bit about the carers group, the digital group that you're part of, and just tell me kind of how you find it. You know, do you enjoy it? Just tell me about your thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I think you know, you're looking at people that are very much in the same situation as yourself, and I suppose it's like a lot of other things. You've got to be in a situation to form a you know, a real understanding of, because the stage that we're all at now, I mean, we've gradually been learning this since we see where loved ones gradually moving into the illness, you know, dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever it is, and we're seeing them gradually moving into it. you know, and we develop an understanding of it, and you can see it in the people that you're talking to. You know, it's you know, it's there. You can see it there, and because we're going through the same thing, there's almost a bit of a bond there. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that it is great for the people that they first of all they allow themselves to, you know, to go into that situation, and it can almost be a bit, oh, how can you say, it's relaxing, I suppose you can say, when you actually move into it, you know, because nobody's going to be pressurising anybody, and I think it's well worth the time, you know.
Yeah.
I really do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how did you find the kind of trying to connect digitally?
I think there's things about connecting digitally and actually being there with somebody. I mean, I think the digital link up, I think it's incredible. Whether the picture's no 100%, whether what you're getting a bit of interference or whatever, it's still brilliant. It's still amazing. I mean, a few years ago, you would never have thought it was possible. So it's an amazing advance, you know, and I've no doubt it'll probably get better as it goes on. But I would think that if there's a group of people sitting in a room, and as I've just said, they've got this experience of dementia. We're all in the same boat. We've got this bond, and if we're all sitting in a room, then I would probably give that 10 out of 10. Where the digital thing, I might just say 9 out of 10, you know, because the digital's maybe liable to just go blank at any minute. But whereas when we're all sitting in a room, you're there, and that's, you know.
Yeah. Had you done a bit of connecting over the internet before with family, or was this a new experience?
Aye, it's incredible. My daughter lives an hour away from here at Stonehouse, and they keep saying they're needing a new laptop, but some days I go on the Skype, and the reception's just no good. It's pretty poor, but yet I can talk to my son. He's 60 odd miles north of Los Angeles, and you would think he was just sitting in the room. The reception can be absolutely brilliant. But I suppose, you know, this is where technology, as amazing as it is, it's maybe not just perfect yet, like, you know.
A long way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's great, Andy. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with me. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Okay then. Thank you very much.
And then finally, on Tuesday, the 29th of June, 15 months since we had last had the opportunity to meet face to face, we had our first carer support group meeting at Astronorah Dementia Resource Centre. Because of current restrictions, we were unfortunately unable to meet as a whole group, but instead met as two smaller groups. It was lovely to see familiar faces again, but I will leave the last words to David and Jessie, who I feel sum up beautifully how it felt to be back seeing each other again and what it means to them to be back at our carer support group.